Hello. Okay, so we're carrying on now. Now this is a screen capture and audio capture thing. So I'm not using the tablet. I'm using my laptop upstairs. So the sound quality will be better, and it won't be jiggling about. However, this is a 4K 4K video. So apologies if you're watching this in on YouTube in even 1080p. It's not going to be completely visible because we shrunk down. Now I will compensate for that slightly by making this window huge. Okay, so this is the main program, and you might just be able to get away with seeing this in 1920 1080, 1080p. All right. So let's jump around a minute here. This is Cura with for. Let me just minimize that, get it out of the way. Iconify. All right, brilliant. So this is Cura with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the parts that I've just been 3D printing. Those are down there downstairs. I am, you see, looking at these in real life. I mean, I'm amazed. I'm amazed by them. These are the front of the what I'm calling the airbox and the dashboard pieces. Anyway, no, I have to. It's really funny. You have different programs. OpenSCAD has a different thing. It's like switching between Blender and AutoCAD. The behavior of the mouse is completely different. So I have to remember. Left button is rotate on here, and right button is pan, but it's the other way round on Cura. It's just all right. Anyway, so let's do a view left. All right. So remember, this is an isometric view. All right, and these are the parts that I'm going to be constructing. Oh, including the roof. Let's bring in the roof as well. True, comma, if I seem to remember correctly. Yes, there we go. All right, so these are the parts we're going to be constructing. Now I've deliberately made it a left-hand view, but of course in the isometric view you don't see the parts that get covered. So let's just spin it a little bit. I've used the wrong mouse button. Sigh. Okay, so I can't highlight anything for you, so you'll just have to watch for the mouse. Let me do a zoom in so that you can see it. This part here is the windshield. Okay, at the back there is where the is the support for the seat that the driver will be sitting. Okay, all right, and in. I wish I'd done left, but never mind. This part here is the dashboard, and where the two doors will be attached. So this is looking from the back now. This is the right door, will be attached to that, and the left door hinges will be attached to that. Okay, all right. The roof, as you can see, the roof, I may actually do this as a separate part. It depends on how that goes, and then attach it to the door. But basically this should, as long as I also put in duplicates of these nodes here, you can see this one, that one, and yeah, this one here, this should be a standalone stable structure, stable-ish. Let me just check it. Is that triangular piece, does it have bracing in both parts? No, it doesn't. So it's not going to be totally stable. Can you see that this blue pipe here goes to that joint there? What it doesn't do is, and I'll go round the 4 pieces. I'm using the center, so look in the center, all right, the screen. So this one to here, to the floor, all right, and going using the floor pipe to here, all right, and then back up to there. None of that has any bracing. Okay, it does not have a diagonal across it. So that is an open frame box which will wobble about. And likewise, because it's got to have a feet for the driver's feet going through it, yeah? Alright, you need to have space for the driver's feet to get underneath, and the only reason that you can see this this diagonal that I'm pointing at in the center, the only reason that's there is because the driver's feet will pass underneath that pipe thing, and for the passengers there's nothing at all there. All right, so the whole of this base piece is unstable. This part here, which I will spin and show you side on, the whole of this is unstable. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have to compensate for that by putting it in a jig, which will have the things. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to construct this on top of the bonnet and the front section. So make the bonnet, as if by magic, appear. Okay. Now the bonnet and I'm going to add the front section as well, which is the wishbone. I don't put all of these pieces, and you'll notice how much this slows down now from putting these 2 pieces in. That's already up to about 3/4 a second per frame. Right. So when we assemble this attached to, I'm not gonna glue it to it. I'm going to attach it to firmly with tape and string. I'm going to wrap it around these nodes so that they can't come off. But they won't be glued on so that it will come apart. Because the whole idea is that this should be disassemblable into 3 parts. You know, we have to do the best we can with the thing, but the floor itself, the floor parts, I think what also I'm going to do is I'm going to 3D print duplicates of the nodes. So for example, what happens with the joint system is if a node is not present, undo the front and get rid of that. Where's the comma key? Escape over. There we go. There's a macro I created in VI, which runs the model program. We didn't get rid of the bonnet as well, comma. Get rid of the bonnet as well. Yeah, unfortunately that node is on the actual bonnet itself rather than being joined to here. So what I'm going to have to do, unless I do some messing about with the software, is 3D print an entire one of these nodes that is a duplicate of the floor, and then cut off the bits that are not to be used, not needed. And then what we'll do is when that has been wrapped with the cloth and resin, file it down, sand it down, and just cut it down to so that the two nodes fit together. The nodes fit together. Right, I've got some ideas on this, and I'm thinking about how to do it. With actually using the software. I mean, you've got software. Make the most of it. But again, notice how these parts, once again, there's no support from them in 3 dimensions. All right, so the two pipes that join here, notice how there is no trapezium, there's no third part going up to, say, for example, this is from underneath now. There's no part going up to here which would stabilize these things. So they're gonna this particular part, it's going to be fragile. I'm going to be very careful with it. It's also going to flop about. This is rather annoying. Yeah, but hey, yeah, even the roof line is going to be flopping about as well. Look at that. Look, let me center the things here. Bring that down so you can see this one here. Even this one is not supported either. I may have to include the roof line, the door sill line on it. Then let me just get where's the rear section? No, back box behind the door. I've called it back box behind door. True. Comma. There's a macro that gets run. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you can see how complex that is. And I was intending this part, this back box in brown, to be part of the third section onto which the rear goes. And let me just do true on that one, and it will really slow down now. Yeah, all right, because that definitely needs to be thing. One of the thoughts that I had about this was to actually double up the number of pipes. So you have two sets of a duplicate set of pipes. So for example, for the door, there will be two sets of door pipes. Okay, but the sheer number involved, and it's still not stable. You can see between here and down to there, you would end up with some pipes that are not themselves stable in the plane about the x-axis, the one that rotates about you get the idea. It's basically in the plane that's at right angles to the screen right now. It can wobble about. Yeah. That blue could wobble about, as can as can the roof. So it's funny. This one's a bit strange. If I started on the back and did the back as well, for back next as a standalone assembly, including that brown, the back box as I call it, behind the doors, and then used both those pieces to assemble the whole of this, then everything would be fine. But we're not doing that. I'm not going to do that. I tell you what I might be able to do. Put one of those pipes from the back box. I think that would do it. Let me check. Let me double check. Yes. Can you see that? Let me zoom in on it. Let me bring it down. And bring... and see how slow this is becoming. That's about 1 frame every second now. Oh, it's awful. Very difficult to control position. Okay, this line here, this is the line where the purple, the roof, is unstable. But, yeah. Damn it. Yeah. Right. Down 1 fraction. Okay, can you see where this line in the center here is blue, but to the left and the right of it is brown and brown? If I put those 2 brown pipes in, I think this will be stable. The actual roof part will be stable. Let me spin it round. Let's come up to the top so we get the thing. Yeah, we're looking at this right in the middle of the damn thing. So let's get it to the corner. Let's deliberately put it on. That's halfway down. It's very difficult. What am I doing? Let's pan out. And we are currently looking at, yep, that's very odd. It's like the monocoque of I recognise this thing. It's like the monocoque of a Maclaren 720. I just saw that on Daily Driven Exotics. They described how they have a monocoque frame to which everything is attached, and this design is pretty similar, actually, conceptually quite similar. Okay, so from this joint here, yes, we've got that centralized on that joint. Brilliant. It's really tricky to get this the screen to do this program, openscad thing, because you can't select anything. It's simply a viewer. So that joint there is the one that is floating in midair, which I think if we put the brown pipe across to there, that blue one. Let's zoom out so we can get some context. Whoops. That blue one, yeah. Okay. Bring it up again a little bit. Okay. That blue one, so you've got the roof line, yeah, brown, the back of the thing, purple, roof goes up on the left, It goes down, and that gives headroom for the passenger left and the right. Remember that the driver actually sits down about 4 or 5 inches lower than the two passengers, because look at the floor, view back, look at the floor. Yeah, all right, the floor, the passenger left and right are about 3 inches higher than the driver. It's one of the advantages of a three-person design. And they will not be interfering with each other because the driver sits forward by about 8 inches. So the only thing what there will be the legs. We'll have to make sure that passengers' legs don't kick the driver, and we can put in some internal things to make sure that doesn't happen. Some internal a tunnel protection, which actually physically separates the passenger's legs and restricts them from kicking the drivers while he's steering the vehicle, basically. Last thing you want to be happening. So where were we? So just having those two pipes, I think on the roof line, I think we will have something that can still be attached to the roof, that is triangulated itself enough to not need that part, those things, so that they're stable on their own. It does look like, so for example, let me just zoom in on it. This here, these 3 brown pipes, which will be free floating and join onto that roof port there, and also this one here, we may have to do the same trick of having duplicate nodes and splitting them out, or just simply wrapping those 3 pipes with Kevlar cloth resin, and making sure that they're rigid all on their own, so that when they are inserted into this node, that they actually fit neatly without breaking anything and thing. But they're going to have to be bolted wherever these parts are separate. They're going to have to be bolted. So on the underneath, whoops, that didn't help. It's not XY centered. It's, please excuse me 1 second. Line up in that dimension, turn it by 90 degrees. Line up in that plane, turn it again by 90 degrees. Get it accurately in on that plane. Excellent. Okay, so now when we rotate about this, it will be on this particular part. That's good. So what we would have to do here is, on this right hand side will be a couple of nuts, probably on a plate, which is then embedded in the Kevlar cloth and resin. So one on the left, one on the right, one bolt on the left and one on the right, and then one nut on the left and one on the right, and then another plate embedded in here, which will be flush with the other plate, and you'll have a bolt that goes through thing, or we just literally embed the bolts themselves into the cloth, and the nuts are what can be attached via a plate to distribute the load. So lots to think about here in the way that these things could be joined together, but the nice thing is, this is things are actually changeable. It's not fiberglass, but it's the same technique. So it is possible to sand, file, cut, and adjust as you want. So anyway, just a cap. This is the part that will be assembling next, and I have done a color inverted version of that, which I selected from a viewing angle of it took a long time to get this. So let's switch off the back box, get rid of that. There we go. So back box is gone, and the viewing angle was approximately that, and I went to a lot of trouble. This is the GIMP. This is a flat 2D image, but I also enabled view. I have enabled perspective for this one, which makes a bit of a difference. Oh, and it's not got the roof on it either. I will have to make sure that that when that's done, that it includes the. It got too complex to include the roof. That's why I disabled it. The roof itself is, as a piece, is like horrendously busy, and it would have complicated the thing. So just complicated this GIMP 2D image. You can't see the pipes. Remember, I learned from the lesson of the front assembly, where we had pipes. You literally couldn't see some of them because they were pointing directly at the viewpoint. They were pointing directly at the viewer when I took the screenshot. So they just literally don't show up. So let's take off the roof. False. Forgot to press the comma macro to run the program, and there we go. Now you can see it's much more like thing. It's sped up so much. Yeah, there you can see that is very much like very much more like this this diagram, which I will mark with pipe numbers and node numbers before printing out. It's another thing I learnt to do. So yeah, I think that's good for now. And next, and this will be assembled vertically. I'm going to do this vertically, so I've got gravity assisting in the holding everything together. So yeah. Thank you very much.